Greetings, Earthlings. Today we resume our tour of mathematics. So we're going to look into examining assumptions and look at the questions. Do 2 points always determine a line? And do triangles always have 180 degrees? So let's do a quick recap. 2 videos ago we looked at the triangle inequality, and aside from actually learning a little bit of mathematics, the point there was to introduce a notion of always using your common sense in conjunction with whatever technique you're using. Then we went into kind of a more general overview video of how to develop mathematical intuition or geometric intuition. And we discussed a few ways on growing or improving that intuition. And this is going to be one of those points mentioned in the video. So what we're going to do today is just think about and play with our assumptions. Now, whatever we do in this video, I encourage you guys to do with almost any concept, whether it's in math or any other area in your life. For example, it could be with government. Like, do governments always have to function this way? What would happen if we set up a government this way? What would happen if we had no government? What would happen if aliens ran the government? What would happen if this happened? Just play with assumptions. It's a really great thought exercise. All right, so 2 points. Let's first start with our traditional notion. If I give you 2 points, there usually is exactly one way to connect these with straight line. So if I draw 2 points on the board, there's only one line, right? Because that's the shortest path between 2 points. And we've proven in a previous video, you can go check out a video in the Art of Math playlist on proving that triangles have 180 degrees. So based on that, you might think, well, yeah, of course, that's always the case. Examining assumptions is one of the hardest things to do, because sometimes we assume things and we assume like, oh, that's always the case. So let's try to really break these assumptions. We might have to create really weird scenarios, but that's the whole point. We're just having fun. We're playing with the problems. So let's start with the 2 points. Now, in the previous video, I try to draw some analogies to other disciplines like music or basketball or whatever. So to handle this, let's say you're playing basketball or soccer. Oh, look, what do we have here? And you find yourself with a ball. Now, these assumptions, believe it or not, if you think about it for a while, you're always assuming you're on a flat surface, like you're on a board. It could be 3D, but it's like still a normal surface. What if we are on a sphere? So pardon the wacky colored ball, but let's start with 2 points. Let's say I pick the very top point, let's say this is the globe. I pick the North Pole and I pick the South Pole. Well, first of all, we'd have to be a little careful, like what is the line? But we're just going to use our intuitive notion as the shortest path to connect these points. So I can go this way, I can go that way, I can go that way. There are an infinite amount of lines with these 2 points. If I pick another 2 points, there actually might be a unique line, but that's not always the case because I picked these 2 points, right? Okay, so where do we go from there? You might ask yourself, let me consider some other shape, some other surface. What happens if this is like an egg-shaped surface? What if it's like a paper towel shape, like a cylinder? I don't know. All right, let's go to the second one. Triangles always have 180 degrees. So let's try to make a triangle. I'm going to create the very top. That'll be our 1 point of our triangle, and then let's say we'll have 2 points somewhere here. So if we go down this way, this angle right here, we can pretend, you could find points such that this will be true. This looks like it's about 90 degrees. If you go the same way down this way to here, that's another 90 degrees. And if you make your points far enough apart on the equator, let's say, then at the top, the angle between these two can also be 90 degrees. It could be other angles, right? We could wiggle our lines. So we can have 3 90-degree angles. So that's 270 degrees. And we can go higher than that. In fact, I think we can go up to, well, think about it yourselves. But we can get a lot higher than 180. So that's an example of triangles not always having 180 degrees. You can make a fair you can have problems with this argument and say, hey, well, that doesn't look like a triangle, it's this bent thing. Sure, but then you have to be very careful and say, okay, what do you think a triangle is? And then be very specific. In other words, when we've made these claims, there were things we kind of brushed under the rugs. And it can be very useful to think, what are those things that we left unsaid? And playing with that can yield many new areas of mathematics. So, for example, I'm no expert in this, but Einstein's theories of relativity, they might involve some curved surfaces. So this stuff is not just kind of abstract fun and games. If you want to know the nature of the universe, you might have to use coordinate systems and forms of geometry where it's not your normal intuitions of how space works. So that's at least one really cool application. So I'm going to leave it at that. But let me make a bigger point here. So let's say you're playing some sport, or you're doing any activity, you're drawing, or you're playing video games. Everything and anything can be an opportunity to improve in anything else. In fact, like one of my heroes, as I mentioned in other videos on my channel, is Leonardo da Vinci, who one of his things was also that everything is interconnected. So, don't assume, oh, I'm playing basketball, so it's not going to help me in math. You might be thinking about surfaces in mathematics, spherical geometry. So, in fact, look at the links in the description. You can read a little more about spherical geometry. But that's kind of one way you grow your intuition. Anything is fair game. Have fun with it. Don't assume mathematics is this rigid thing. So, like I said, some of these ideas I got or other people got just by doing seemingly unrelated things. All right, I'll leave it at that. Have fun. You might take any household object. What if I put a triangle here? So let's say I put, here's a little paper towel, so I put, let's say, 2 points here. And my third point, what if I put it behind here? Many of you have heard of Mobius strips. What if I tear the sheet off, I twist it, and then connect it? Play around with these things and just see what happens. Don't worry about like, oh, what's the actual result? Even this thought process of beginning to question things and think critically for yourselves is really useful. All right, so without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video.